Oh, you fancy, huh? Girls, let me see your hands. Wave them at them bitches hating on you with their friends. Girl, you got it.
Good morning. I'll apologize for the background noise in advance. Kiddies are getting ready for school. I'm hopping on here to do this live while I'm inspired to say a couple of things while it's still fresh. So I just was watching a video. I love watching YouTube. I call it YouTube University, some of it. So I was watching something on Law and Crime Network about everything that's happening with the allegations that are coming out. You know, Cat Williams popped it off with a bang, saying that this is a year of all lies being exposed. Yeah, he prophesied that. He definitely prophesied that, and it's still happening. I see you, Dean. Mind your business. So, I remember a couple years ago when people started really slamming, what's her name? Is it Drea or Drea Kelly? I apologize if I'm saying her first name incorrectly. It's been a while since I've heard her name, but, you know, there were some videos of her, you know, kind of vibing out to her ex-husband's music, and still, I think there were some videos of her saying how much she really still loved him or supported him in some kind of way. And it seems when you see stuff like that, and there was something that happened with Chris Brown where I guess he was accused by a woman of assaulting him. And then he went on to show, you know, that she had sent him nude photos and she had sent him text messages saying, you know, I still want to, you know, smash or whatever. So then it makes certain people who are victims look like they're lying. And there's this thing that still happens. And I really think it's especially disgusting when I see other women do this to other women, where you're not believed and other women will victim blame. I remember with one of my worst situations of assault, I dated a guy for a couple of years in Oklahoma, and there he's a very, you know, popular radio guy, or at least he used to be during that time, DJ D Chappelle. And we were together, in a cohabitating in a co-family situation. I mean, damn near common law married for a couple of years. And when I came out publicly that he had assaulted me and that this man damn near killed me, like, first of all, how can I break my own jaw? But because we were still in a relationship after that, I wound up dropping, not the charges, I wound up dropping the restraining order because I was coerced to. And I was convinced at that time that he was going to, like, he promised me he would go to therapy, he would go to anger management, all this stuff behind the scenes. He had his attorney calling me, talking about how he really cares for you. And, you know, I don't know why, but he still loves you and he wants to make it work. So people who have influence, people who have power, even on a little local celebrity level, you know, let me go back a little bit. You know how when you find out somebody who's your hero, somebody that you just, for whatever reason, even though they don't know you at all, they don't know you know everything about them, you know, because you're a fan, and you see something bad about them in the news and you're like, oh man, and you don't want to believe it. Like when the stuff came out about Michael Jackson, and I'm not going to go deep into that and say, you know, I do or don't, but for me growing up, Michael Jackson was like, oh my God, like almost a god. So when that stuff started coming out in my adult years about him, it was so hard because it's hard to like put those two things together. It's hard to look at this person that is totally worshipped and they're so incredibly talented and they do these amazing things. I mean, my gosh, like Michael Jackson healed the world. Come on. And then you've got these people saying that I was victimized by him. It's hard. That is too much overload for our emotions and our brain. And so what does the average person do? They throw it out. Oh, I don't believe that. There's no way someone so wonderful could do something like that. So when you're looking at these people being accused, and I remember how terrible it was for me, and this was on a very small, of course, like local, regional celebrity level, when I said to that region, the people in that Oklahoma City and Dallas area and everything else, when I came out on social media, and I showed the pictures and me, I had to get 2 surgeries, guys. Like my jaw's getting wired. There's no way I could do that to myself. But when I came out and I said, this man is an abuser. He's been abusing me for a while. He's a fucking demon. Oh my God. People just refuse to believe me. I mean, I was called crazy. I was called vindictive. I mean, even I'm an Eastern Star and he's a Mason. Can you imagine going to those meetings? It's a huge organization. And even them looking at you like you're some sort of pariah or something because you dare to tell the truth. And it's possible for you to still love someone and to still be their victim. Just like it's possible for you to be a fan of someone and to think, oh man, all these amazing, think about the torture you go through when someone that you're a fan of, that you hear something bad about them. Do you start hating their music all of a sudden? No, you don't. You are super conflicted. Okay, can you imagine how much harder and stronger those emotions must be for someone who's in a situation where they looked up to that person? The guy that I was with, I mean, you couldn't tell me that Dre was a freaking monster. I'd known him for years. We went to the same college. He DJ'd so many of my events when I was an undergrad at this college. I mean, he was a perfect gentleman. Even the first year of our marriage, oh my God, our marriage, I'm sorry, it felt like a marriage, sorry. Even the first year of our relationship, I'm thinking this guy is, oh my God, he's the answer to everything, which a lot of these demons always present themselves in the beginning to be literally your whole answer to life, like your Prince Charming, the rescuer, like a breath of fresh air. So can you imagine if if you're actually in a situation with one of these people, you looked up to them, you may have been a fan, or they've got major influence outside of you. Can you imagine this person having so much influence with you in your life, and also probably spending time to groom you for the abuse so you don't see it coming, and then they freaking start, like, literally the hood comes off and they're a demon? Can you imagine what real victims are going through? These are people that they still, probably a lot of them may respect or admire because of one thing, but then they're also completely terrified on the other. It's possible to have all those emotions at once. You know that, right? It doesn't make them a freaking liar. It doesn't make it less true just because this person is so wonderful in so many ways and they do such amazing things. Oh my God, growing up a preacher's kid, it was so frustrating trying to talk to my friends about the just despicable things that would happen in my home with my father. Do I still love him? Of course I love him. He's my dad, and we had a lot of great moments. But let me tell you, there were a lot of moments that were downright diabolical. I'm 41 years old and I am still in therapy, and I still have nightmares about some of those things to this day. And and even to this day, like, there's a lady who is a publisher. No, not right now, you guys, not right now. There's a lady who is a book publisher, and someone in the town that they live in, she told me sorry guys, my nails are trash right now. Oh well, whatever, not your business. So she told, I was referred to her because she's a friend of the family. She's watched me grow up, and I was working on a book. And they were like, you know what? She's a perfect person to work on your book. Now, what I didn't know at the time was she was working on some books with my father, which I do think it's kind of interesting that all of a sudden when I decide to start writing books and having, doing like podcasts and stuff like that more, all of a sudden, here come other people in the family starting to do the same thing. But I'm going to let that go. I will say this, that is a narcissistic behavior trait, but we're not going to dive into that. You can watch some of my other videos on my YouTube channel, Ask Darling Nikki, to, talk more about that. But the point is, she wound up declining to work with me because it was a conflict of interest. Why? Because she chose my parents' side and she did not want to get involved at all. And so she dropped me because at the end of the day, this is her pastor. So she doesn't want to hear anything bad about her pastor. Like, people act like it's not possible for you to be really great in one area and still be terrible in another. I can't tell you how many people growing up that would tell me to just be quiet. Don't say anything about your family. Don't talk about the man of God. Don't talk about, the pastors in your family. Don't talk about the stuff that happens, because I don't want to hear nothing bad about my pastor. He's my pastor and he's done this and he's done that for me. It's possible for these people to be good counselors or be good teachers or be amazing, incredible preachers and to do a lot of good things and to still have some demonic activity and do some really deplorable, dark things to other people. And let me tell you something. Oftentimes, people who are narcissistic abusers, I'm not saying people who are sexual abusers, and I am no way saying that my father was, so don't try to put that, pay attention to what I'm saying. But people who abuse in different ways, which my father never did. So let me say that again. He never sexually abused me. That is not what happened. It's bull. You're absolutely right. Hey, Eris. What's going on? Hey, that's my cousin, y'all. Eris Misty. Love you, down, girl. Who else is commenting? Oh, hey, it's a lot of people watching. What's up? Thank you for listening and share. And please share the knowledge. I'm trying to pick up on a couple comments and hey, gorgeous. Blah, 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 blah. Okay. It's mostly people's names. I don't see a lot of comments, but if I see one, I'll try to read it. Okay. Thanks for the hearts. I appreciate this. But back to the point. It's possible for a human being to do a lot of incredible things. And oftentimes, people who are on the pulpit, people who wear a badge and a gun, people who are in the schools, people who are in the hospitals and stuff, those are the ones, honestly, the ones who do a lot of good works and who are public facing and public servants. Those are the ones that deserve the most scrutiny. And oftentimes, because when I tell you my video series Addicted to Monsters is all about this, because I grew up around so many of them, and I have seen some traits. Okay, the last husband, he's a straight monster. He wears a badge and a gun, and he works around kids like almost all the time. I'm gonna let you put that 2 and 2 together. These people, they want to ingratiate themselves upon you. That's the first thing they have to do. They got to get influence with you so that you see nothing but the good. They have to, because they are so fucking diabolical. They are so downright evil, so many of them. And that's how they're able to continue getting away with the crappy stuff that they do to the ones that are the closest to them. Because they got to get in your heart. They got to get in your mind first. They got to, they want you to see them as the hero. And as long as you see them as the hero, the great singer, the great speaker, preacher, dancer, oh, the one who he saved so many people, he wears a badge and a gun, he's got to be an amazing person. They're able to keep doing the diabolical shit that they do typically to the ones that are the closest to them, because they know now the world, the community, or even their little country ass town sees them as such an amazing person. There's no way that they're doing this to the people that they see every day. The ones that are usually in their closest circle, the ones that see them every day, they're able to keep them bound. They're able to keep them manipulated, and they are able to continue to abuse them. So just because that person, is able to show that, well, she sent me text messages of her naked, she's still asking to have, what with me. Do you understand the way they had to break that person physically, emotionally, psychologically to keep them in this place where the person who is the problem is also the person who is the solution? That is a game. That's some serious we still have time, okay? It's no, not yet. We're not going out yet. Brush your hair, okay? Go brush your hair. That's some serious crazy work that they're able to do. It happens all the time. So just because that girl says, oh, I still love him, or just because she took him back or still with him for whatever reason, or maybe she feels like she can't survive without him. A lot of times it's that, or maybe he gave her this experience physically that she's never had before. So now she's addicted to it. That does not mean that person is not a victim. It does not mean that. You've heard of, what is that? Stockholm syndrome, where you start to empathize with your abuser. Let me tell you something. The worst beating that I got from DJ D Chappelle. And you know why he's never sued me? Because he can't, because I'm not lying. Okay. Medical records don't lie. The worst thing he ever did to me, I know that it lasted for at least an hour, because I know that from the time he showed up at my house unannounced, and I hadn't had a chance to change the garage code. So he came into the garage. I didn't even hear him. From the time that I was able to convince him to finally take me to, he wouldn't even take me to an ER, but the first doctor to sew at my face. I know that the time lapse, and I have to go back, but I have some time stamps on some pictures as well, was at least an hour, and I believe somewhere around 2. And all of that was time of him putting his hands on me. The last thing that I remember before I blacking out and literally waking up in another room on the floor was him continuing to yell at me in a cadence. Like if you grew up in that like kind of black community in the 80s and 90s, and they used to have this cadence when they would spank you, it was like that. And I was maybe $110, maybe $115 at that time. And he was literally picking me up and throwing me back and forth around my house like I was a fucking Barbie doll. Because hell, I was even cuter then. I know the last thing that I remember was him doing that. How in the world can I do that to myself? How in the fuck am I able to break my jaw on two sides of my face and have to get nine stitches in my face, get my face sewn up, and have to get my jaws wired? You don't do that to yourself. And to this day, there's a bunch of fucktards in Oklahoma City, including girls I used to sing with, that say that somehow I'm lying, I did it to myself, or believe his bullshit that it was an accident. There's a point to this. The point is, even after that was all said and done, when we finally got to a hospital, because the first doctor said, I'm pretty sure she has a concussion, pretty certain her jaw is broke, you need to take her to the hospital. Let me tell you something too. The very first doctor, there's no way that doctor didn't know that this was abuse, and he never called the cops because men protect each other. I remember watching Dre communicate with him, and it was almost like this unwritten, it was like this, the words that were not spoken was almost like, man, come on, give me a break. Like, cut me some slack here. It was an accident. I really didn't mean to. It's like that's what was not being said, although all of these excuses were being said. And I didn't do any talking. He talked for me. These people, this is how they're able to keep getting away with stuff, because this patriarchy is, it's diabolical. Like, literally, it's like he was almost begging that guy to just cut him some slack. And that doctor who sewed my face, he just listened to his story and was like, he was more sympathetic with that man than he was with me. He talked more to that man than he talked to me. What?
Can me and Madison just go outside?
No, it's not time to go outside. I'll let you know. Okay. So you can brush your hair and go upstairs. Okay.
I'm looking for my brush.
All right. Well, then where's your brush supposed to be?
In my bag. Like, I always keep it.
All right. Go get it.
No, this bag.
No, it's not supposed to be in that bag. It's supposed to be in your bag with your toiletries. Sorry, guys. So, we got to the hospital and we're waiting, and literally blood is still dripping down my face hours later. Like, I'm holding something to soak up the blood that's still coming off my face after we went to go see the first doctor. After that doctor put 3 stitches here, 3 stitches here, and 3 stitches inside of my mouth. 3, 6, 9. We're at the ER, and I'm waiting for a while to be seen. He is literally giving me the story of his life. So at this time, he's indoctrinating me again, because, he's talking about how his mother never loved him, and how, mind you, this is the mother, Estelle Chappelle, that he continued to always post pictures of, and this and that, and may she rest in peace, and everybody thinks they have this beautiful relationship, but I saw something the exact opposite. I'm gonna tell you that. But he's saying about how his mother never loved him, and how she was a baby mama, and this and that, his father always, I'm his victim. But in that moment, he's making himself the victim again. He's ingratiating himself upon my mind and my spirit and my psyche, while I'm sitting there with a concussion, with a jaw that I was about to find out was broken on both sides. I am traumatized. My body is broken. My spirit is broken. He is sitting there giving me the story of his life again, his version of events, how he's on the radio listening to, tens of thousands of people, and how no matter what, it's not enough because nobody ever truly listens to him, and nobody loves him, and I don't love him. And so this is what people like that do. Can you imagine that some local country ass celebrity is doing this to me? Can you imagine how it is for these people who are the victims of people like a Chris Brown, a Diddy, and whatever else? Can you imagine what their experience is? Because these are people who are worldwide stars that they're going through stuff with. I just want to break it down to you, because I'm tired of people victim shaming and blaming. When a person comes out and says, I was his victim, or I am his victim, this is how they're able to continue to get away with stuff. It's deep, it's multifaceted. So just because a woman may have enjoyed some sexual activities does not mean that that person also was not abused. It doesn't mean that they weren't broken in the very first time, the very first couple of times, and that they weren't not with the last husband. This guy knew that I was already somebody that was used to abuse and being a victim. And that is how our marriage began, by him assaulting me. That is how our marriage ended, by him assaulting me and forcing pregnancy upon me again to try to keep me from leaving him. And he told me this. Oh, you can't leave me now. You can't divorce me because you're having another baby. It's possible to have so many layers of emotions and things as it pertains to a person who is doing diabolical stuff to you. It doesn't make you any less of a victim just because there may have been some high points or some positive spots, or just because you may have really conflicting feelings toward that person, or you may have enjoyed one or two things. I'm not saying I did with any of these people, because I didn't, when it came to that. Some of these people use sex to control their victims. They use forcing them to send them pictures or saying you like that or call me, certain things. I'm going to start to dial it down because the kids are coming back around my presence. Just because these things are happening doesn't mean that they're lying. I'm gonna leave it there. It's very conflicting, but just because it's conflicting and confusing, and just because there could be some high points and some low points, and just because a person is super manipulated, it doesn't make them a liar. That's the point. No matter what, all lies are always going to be exposed. All truth always comes to the light. And at the end of the day, a victim is a victim and a predator is a predator. And guess what predators are really, really good at? Controlling their victims. Start paying attention to more details. And just because a person is super talented or, philanthropic, or just because you may be a fan of them in one way, that does not take away the fact that this could still be a very dark individual, and that they could, be doing some things to people that are just absolutely like deplorable. It does not change the facts. It doesn't change the truth. The truth is still the truth. And at the end of the day, it always stands. But typically, justice and truth doesn't come out fast enough. And I don't think it comes out far enough for people who really deserve it. And in this next year, that's my prayer. That's my expectation, that vindication and justice comes for all of us who need it. Because a lot of people continue to go on and live their lives in peace. And the people that they broke, it can take a lifetime and sometimes never to heal from these things, to be made whole. If somebody steals something from you, you want your shit back, right? Okay, people who were damaged psychologically, sexually, emotionally, we want our shit back. We want it back. Something was broken. Something needs to be fixed. Don't tell them just move on with your life. Just go on. You let somebody do some shit to you and see if you are able to just shut up and move on and go on with your life about it. If something is fixed, it has to be made whole. Okay? If it's not made whole, it ain't made whole. If it ain't right, it ain't right. Stuff that's wrong. I mean, hell, if somebody cuts you off in the road, how often are a lot of you upset about that for the rest of the day? It threw off your day. Can you imagine having events of trauma that throws off your whole life? Because it does. It affects everything about your life. So think about that. All right, I got to get out of here. Got to get outside with my babies, get them ready for the school bus. Bye-bye.